Hey, this is Patrick. Welcome to episode 52. You will notice that there is no introduction to this episode. It's because we followed right through from episode 51. We moved on from the two questions onwards to TV and movies. So that's why. Enjoy, and thank you again for listening. Okay, so let's switch to movies now. Nick, what do you have for us?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few movies I've seen in theaters. The first one, ironically, because no one's seen it, is Fast X.
I've seen it.
Oh, you did see it. What did you think
Yes.
of it, Patrick?
It's not very good, and I think Vin Diesel needs to retire yesterday.
Yeah, he does.
Because, he is, sleepwalking and growling his lines, and it's painful to watch. But I gotta say, Jason Momoa almost saves the movie.
He does this weird Joker kind of character sort of. It's like, It's hard to explain. You have to kind of see the movie. He is so much fun in that movie. He literally almost makes it watchable because when you hear in interviews, especially with Vin Diesel talk about the Fast and Furious movies, he makes it seem like it's like Shakespeare. And it's like, dude, get over yourself. It is just hot people, fast cars, and they just do all these outrageous stunts, but there's not like a lot of depth to them, unless you want to say that they're movies about family, which they absolutely are. No, I'm kidding. It's a fun popcorn movie, but like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on lately because I can't stand this guy. But Pete Davidson's cameo was pretty funny as well.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned it. I forgot to write it down. Oh my Christ. Yeah, he is in there for 10 minutes. And I probably said things out loud that I'm not going to repeat here. Fuck that guy. Jesus.
Oh, I can't stand him, but he was really good in that movie. I can't stand him, but I was kind of laughing at some of the dialogue because it was so stupid but funny.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Can I make you a hot take?
Please.
I was really happy to see Jason Statham in the movie. I literally was like, thank you, God. Nothing else was really going on in that movie. It's too long, too. It's 2.5 hours. It's come on.
Is he the best actor in that movie?
I think it's Momoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he seems to be the only one realizing how much a joke those movies have become. And he seems to thrive in that environment. It's like Michael Sheen in the Twilight movies. He seems to be the only one who knew that those movies sucked. So he went full, villain with twirling his mustache and, having his top hat.
Turned it up to 11. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was the best part of those turds,
When you see the movie, too, it's he's very much coded as queer, too. He has his fingernails painted. He's very flamboyant. He's very, you don't try to say it right. Definitely an old-fashioned version of a villain. You know what it reminds me of almost is those Batman shows from the 60s,
oh yes,
the Joker and people like that. That's what it harbored back to that. But he is by far the best part of that entire movie.
Yeah, but it's still not a good movie, honestly.
There's a couple movies that do that. I'll give you two off the top of my head. You said Michael Sheen, that made me think of Tron Legacy, which is kind of meh, but he has a cameo in it, and he also brings it up to 11. He's swinging a cane, and he's got a top hat. Bizarre.
Michael Sheen?
Yeah, Michael Sheen.
I didn't know. I've never seen Tron Legacy.
I don't even want to spoil it because if you Googled image it, he looks insane. He's got white hair. He's got this makeup this he looks like he's sparkling. It's bizarre.
Okay.
And then the second one I was thinking of was Michael C. Hall. He did a movie, I think it was called Gamer.
Yes, with Gerard Butler.
One of those movies that looks like it's by the numbers, but then he comes out of nowhere and does a dance number, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yes.
It's so bizarre. I love it when actors, they know the material, writing kind of sucks, and they're just well, I have to bring it for this performance.
Yeah, they crank it up to 11.
Yeah.
And, what happens.
Yep, I definitely appreciate those.
Yes. So, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Oh, so the next movie is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I saw that the second weekend because the first weekend they were sold out, or I don't even remember what happened, but I saw the second weekend, saw it on IMAX screen. But I don't know if people know this here in the States. They had issues with the audio mixing. So even on an IMAX screen, it was very hard to hear because it was very low. So like there was one guy in the audience that like, and it was like I would say half packed. It was like a Sunday afternoon. This one guy laughed at every meta joke, and there's a lot of meta jokes in that movie. And he was like, ho, 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 like the whole 2.5 hours. Like you wanted to kill him. Like you want to take your shoe, take it off, and just throw it at him and just say, shut up. Kind of. But you can't. But yeah, so then they fixed it because they sent the movie theaters, because apparently it was like a lot of the movie theaters here in the States, they had to send them like a different file or something to make it the correct audio setting because it was way too low. Because I was like, is this the sign that I'm losing my hearing? That's what I kept saying when I was watching this movie.
I didn't know about that problem.
I saw it too, but I just saw it like 2 weeks ago. Did you go like to an opening show? Maybe they fixed it after the
I
fact?
saw it the second weekend, and then they fixed it the third weekend.
Okay, so I must have seen it that week because I know when I saw it, it had already been out for a little bit, but yeah, I loved it. The music is, I wasn't familiar with the soundtrack, but I was loving it. It fit with the movie. The animation is outstanding, and I was shocked at how I had fatigue. I actually had tweeted this a while ago. I was like, I had Spider-Man fatigue because I'd seen No Way Home was the last live action one, and seeing him in all the Marvel properties, like I kind of need a break from all this. It's just overload. But he just went anyway, and I was surprised how much I liked it.
It was good. I liked the first one they did, Into the Spider-Verse, the one that came out 4 years before, like the one that won the Oscar for animated movie. I like that one slightly better, but this one was really good, and you definitely get your money's worth. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's the longest animated movie, I think, ever in terms of like a major theatrical release. So, but it was good. And then speaking of animated movies, I saw Elemental, the newest Pixar movie. Did anyone else see that?
Not
no,
yet.
But I heard it's not doing well.
Yeah, see, I saw it at a fairly crowded theater, and I thought it was good. I think a lot of people, they're comparing it to like WALL-E and Finding Nemo and Toy Story and like those movies, and it's not that, but I think it's a good movie in its own right. And it's basically Pixar's version of like a romantic comedy. Like I can see why some people don't like it, but I thought it was quite enjoyable, and it was very beautifully animated.
I personally, I think just because there's a several Disney movies that just kind of came out recently, like Strange World. There is another one that, like, some of them are coming to Disney Plus, and I think people just assume, a Disney movie, it'll be on streaming soon. So I don't know if that's just a mentality now. It's just, if there's a Disney movie, I already have Disney Plus, I'll just wait a few weeks and it'll be there, or if it's not already there the day one. So
that's what I think happened, because even like a movie like Turning Red, that's a movie that probably should have gotten a theatrical release,
which was really good. I was surprised at that one as well. So
yeah, it got dubbed on this Disney Plus, and I think that's part the burden of like the streaming.
Yeah,
like movies are in theaters, because they're losing a lot of money because a lot of families, like, it's expensive to go, and you might as well just wait 2 months to see it. I mean, there's no rush. But I liked Elemental. I thought it was really good, and like, it's not as original as other Pixar movies, but it was decent. A movie I really didn't like are the next two. I cut at the Transformers movie. I saw that.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
That's your fault.
Yeah, you really did this to yourself, Nick.
But the thing is, it started strong, and then Michael Bay did not direct this one. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot because Michael Bay sucks, but he had no involvement. It started strong, and then it just, what are we doing with these movies? Like, they're just terrible. And then I saw The Flash, another movie that started strong, and I really did not want to see it because Ezra Miller is a monster and he's a piece of shit. And
agreed.
Yeah, did someone have a gun to your head?
No, so I went for Michael Keaton because I adore Michael Keaton with all my heart, and Batman Returns is like one of my favorite movies, and I was like thinking to myself, okay, do I go see this? And I said, I'll go for Michael Keaton, the crazy things I will do for that man sometimes.
Explicit content.
Yes, like my explicit Michael Keaton. It's like, it's not Paul Newman level, but
Okay.
it's up there. But no.
Yeah, what they should have done was CGI his Grant Gustin's face over Ezra Miller, so he'd be the Flash for that film, and then just keep the rest.
Yeah, the movie, like, there's 2 Flashes, and I wrote in my letterbox, the world needs 2 Ezra Millers, said no one ever That is just terrible. But the movie wasn't that good, really. It was a hot mess. Did you see it, Hector?
No, I'm just imagining a world where there's 2 Ezra Millers now, and you terrified me.
Actually, the world could use 2 Ezra Millers, one to throw into a volcano and the other one to throw off a cliff.
Or maybe they throw each other into volcano. I just imagine,
what? Yeah, sure.
Imagine all the broken pool cues and bar bottles and just, that's a mess.
Yes. The definition of a hot mess, quite honestly. I mean, it was like, it started strong, and then the Flash character just gets lost, and it's like a Batman movie, essentially, I felt.
So how was it on that end? Was Michael Keaton's performance, I mean, if you cut out Ezra Miller and just kept the Batman stuff.
Oh, it would only be like a half hour.
Oh, really? Yeah, because they were really pumping it up like with Batman, and someone had said, oh, it should have just been Batman movie, and then they could have kept Ezra Miller out of it, but I don't think so. I think it really was his movie.
Yeah, it was his movie, but it's like the Flash at the second half of the movie, like once he goes into the metaverse, like the time travel, it's like it's not his story anymore, really. You know, the DC universe is terrible with all the movies they've done, like with Zack Snyder and all that shit. And I don't know. And then the guy that did Guardians of the Galaxy, what is his name?
James Gunn?
Yes, he's taken over. And it's kind of like, I think that's part of the reason why this movie's failing too. It's like, this is like the end of the Snyder bullshit that they've done for like the last decade. So it's not making people want to see The Flash anyway. And plus, I think that Ezra Miller controversy, and it's just not a good movie.
I'll go a step further. I think they should just shut down DC and just start from scratch all over again, or do something completely different, because I haven't seen Batman v Superman. That was the last one I saw from that. I saw Wonder Woman. But
the first Wonder Woman was good?
Yeah, the first Wonder Woman was okay. I didn't see anything else, though. That all I heard was just, don't bother. I was waiting to hear word of mouth that it was good, but I never got any good word of mouth.
Here's what they should do. They should do like what they did in between the George Clooney Batman and Christopher Nolan. Wait 10 years and revisit it, but have different directors or producers or writers.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll make it fresh, because really, I was around in 97. Batman was dead. And then 2005 and 2008, it was hotter than ever in terms of cultural ubiquity. So they need to do something, because that franchise is a hot mess.
Yes.
And then really quick, just 2 more movies. And one of them is a really good story. I promise you guys. I saw No Hard Feelings with J-Law, Jennifer Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
It was really funny. Yeah. Really funny. Go watch it.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm from Long Island. I lived like 20, 30 minutes from where everything took place in that movie.
Oh, so that's why it's a good movie.
Yeah, no.
I know that street.
I did. I knew some of the actual landmarks, and like I was there, so it was like crazy.
Yeah, a buddy of mine said it was like an 80s comedy, like for this generation, and I was like, okay, I can get behind that, I guess.
I've heard it's like, kind of that American Pie, not because of age-wise, but just like that kind of unabashful comedy that's kind of crude and
raunchy
comedy.
Yeah.
That's the word. Yeah,
it reminded me a lot of Judd Apatow comedies, like in the 2000s, where it was kind of just, these characters are far from perfect, but they're likable, but they're hot messes, and they contradict each other, but it's still totally watchable. Like Forgetting Sarah Marshall is like one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm. Great movie. Yeah.
That kind of reminded me of that. But she's amazing, and this is, I think, what I was telling one of my friends was, it reminded me so much of the 90s. Think of like Julia Roberts as a perfect example. Like or Sandra Bullock, they're fantastic in it. And the movie could be like whatever, but that star power makes it a watchable movie. And I think that this movie kind of proves that we miss Jennifer Lawrence as a star, and like someone who could actually lead a movie and like make it watchable. And I really liked it. And I hope there's more rated R comedies, because I feel like that's been missing in the last decade. I mean, good rated R movies that are comedies.
I'll add to that. I don't keep up on actors and actresses and stuff anymore. So the fact that it's Jennifer Lawrence does nothing for me. Like, I know she's a great actress. It's just, but it's actually that genre, like you just said, that makes me want to see it, because I think, and I'm sure there are some that I just don't know about, but I'm really kind of starved for that kind of movie. So yeah. I just want to laugh.
I agreed. It's one of those things too, because like a lot of indie movies came through the pipeline when streaming was big, with COVID, and there was a lot of DIY movies, and a lot of them that were comedies. They were very, you cherry pick the funny ones, because there was a lot that just weren't that impressively funny. So like to Nick's point about saying those the 90s. I'd even go further because that movie made me think of another like 2000s comedy. I don't even know if it was funny or not, but The Girl Next Door, which is that one. Gosh, I can't remember who was in it though.
Oh, it's Elijah Ducrew and the guy who's in Into the Wild.
Emil Hirsch?
Emil Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch.
Yeah. When a young Emil Hirsch, and the girl that moves in, she's a porn star, and the Next Door.
Never seen that one.
Yeah, but it's kind of along that same lines of like, it's the boy who's kind of awkward, and he's got some beautiful girl that's in his life, and blah blah blah. So it goes from there. It's just those kind of 80s from 90s to now 2000s. Those raunchy comedies, they always, like, as long as you hear like good word of mouth and there's lots of jokes that kill, then I think those are always something that's sorely missed, especially in the last few years.
And comedies are my favorite things.
Comedy is hard.
It is hard, and I think that it depends on dialogue, and I think performances, like if it's overacted or it's hard to explain, but like this one is actually worth your time, I think. My last movie is the best story, and I say that for last because I went after work to see the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City, and I was like, okay, I'm really excited because I'll be honest, I think I talked to Mudford about this. I might say this on the show. I have a love-hate relationship with Wes Anderson. Sometimes he's really amazing. Sometimes I think he's a little too self-indulgent, and I think that he sometimes has style over substance. But anyway, I was so excited to see it, went to go see it, and it was like 95 degrees outside. And I'm thinking, okay, fine. And then during the movie, they had the previews and just started to downpour. And then we had like a extreme thunderstorm advisory. And then during the movie, it was raining so loud that you couldn't hear the movie because that's how hard it was raining. And then 45 minutes into the hour and 40-minute movie, it shut off, like the power went off.
Oh.
So we waited like 5 minutes, everyone, and then it came back, but it only played the audio and not the actual visuals. And like, think about it, a Wes Anderson movie who's all about the visuals, that's the whole movie. No one's going for the sound. So I ended up getting a free ticket, and then I was like, okay, fine. And then I got a flat tire. That's another story.
When it rains, it pours, Sonic.
Yeah. So I got the tire fixed the next day, and then I went Sunday to see it, and it was really good. I liked it. I don't think he's going to win any new fans, but it's one of his better films in the last few years. I mean, anything is a step up from the French Dispatch, which was pretty lousy, I think.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I remember being in the theater, the only person at the theater to see Rushmore. No, that's not true. There was an older couple that was 3 rows in front of me, and they didn't laugh at all. And I thought that movie was hysterical. I was laughing, and I was embarrassing myself because, like, the older couple, the wife looks over at me like, "What are you laughing at? This isn't funny." And I'm like, I guess it's just I don't know if it was a generational thing, but
they probably got into the wrong theater.
Yeah, or yeah. I have a friend that he manages a local theater, and he hates it when people come into the theater and they ask what's playing, like what's the next show for, like what's the next playing. Like they didn't go there to see a specific movie; they're just there because they have time to kill. So it's whatever's playing at that moment, they'll just cut in the middle of it and go see something that's like halfway in. So yeah,
brutal.
But I would recommend Asteroid City. It was actually funny, and it has like 1 billion stars.
You mentioned the French Dispatch. I thought it was okay, but Grand Budapest Hotel was better, much better.
Oh, 1,000 times better. And it was like,
we mentioned that on a previous episode, I think.
You know what it is, though? I think like kind of like a French Dispatch was like anthology driven, like stories, and then I think Grand Budapest not as much. It's more of like a one story, and I think that Wes Anderson, he tries to add all these actors that are like in the dozens at this point, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like I think it works better with Asteroid City, but like I don't know what's going on with him, but I would recommend it. I don't know if people like Wes Anderson.
You know what one I really like is Fantastic Mr. Fox.
That is a good one.
I love how it takes something from something that he didn't write, and then also on top of that I can't even describe what's that style of animation.
Stop motion?
Stop motion, thank you. So I would like to see him do different things, because he has a run of the mill of these dry, witty ensemble cast films, and I like those. I like when he tries to do something different. So
yeah, it might be getting a bit stale.
Yeah,
I think he's got a core demographic that will go see no matter what he does. Like he could put out like
The Flash. You should do The Flash.
Oh my gosh, shut up. He should be commissioned to do the next Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I would pay good money to watch the Wes Anderson version of Captain America. Oh my god.
You say that, but some of those Marvel properties are so wacky now, like the ones that, especially the ones that are on Disney Plus, the series, they're so off the wall now. So I can actually, you could kind of see it now. Some directors stepping in and making an unconventional superhero series.
Should do the next James Bond movie. That would probably be unwatchable.
Oh my god.
Bill Murray as James Bond.
Jason Schwartzman as James Bond.
Yes. And Bill Murray as Blofeld.
Odd Job.
Bill Murray's M.
Yes. Actually, I could see that because wasn't he Charlie in Charlie's Angels?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Adrian Brody as the main villain.
Oh, him and Edward Norton together, they could be the villains.
And then Owen Wilson just shows up for no reason.
Yes.
Bill Murray wasn't in this only because he had COVID, because they were very strict when they made this about people who had COVID, they couldn't participate. But apparently, I don't know which role he was supposed to get, but they had to cancel him out of the movie because he had COVID.
I didn't know that. All right. Any other movies in mind?
No, I think I said way too many, and I made way too many jokes. So.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem. Thank you, Nick. Mike, what do you have for us?
Patrick, if you break this into chapters like you do sometimes for each episode, this will be the shortest chapter. I don't have a movie. I haven't seen any since last time we talked.
All right.
So
thank you, Mike.
No problem.
So 15-second segment. Awesome. Hector, what about you? What do you have for us?
Well, I also saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I did enjoy that a lot. Saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me too.
I liked it. I didn't love it as much as everyone has been clamoring it. I don't know if it was just not in the right mood for it. I was pleasantly surprised how it ended, with all these franchises and all these Marvel action properties. It's just you've seen one ending after another, and you wonder if this one's gonna be any better or worse. But I did like how they are, not to spoil anything, but how this one concluded. This chapter of the series concluded. But I did overall like it. And then Evil Dead Rise, which I did enjoy. I was also pleasantly surprised. I actually had a theater that was into it, not screaming out loud for the wrong reasons. Everyone was getting the right scares, and it's a lot of fun.
You need that for a horror movie.
Definitely do. But that one was a lot of fun.
Just to add, though, Hector, Evil Dead Rises is on Max because I saw it the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot to see it in theaters. And
did you like it?
No, I didn't see it because...
Okay.
Because
you saw The Flash instead.
Priorities.
I saw The Flash. I've seen worse, Patrick.
Oh, Jesus, don't say that.
We haven't seen the new Indiana Jones movie, so how can we...
Oh, Christ.
Is that... all right, anybody want to take bets that it's worse? It's going to be worse than the Crystal Skull?
It has Shia LaBeouf in it, so I don't think anything could ever make it that bad.
Financially, or...
No, in just terms of quality. This one was the most expensive Indiana Jones film to date. I think it was almost $300 million to make this one.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's a tough one because I think this is going to rely on nostalgia. And I think that's a gamble when a lot of these superhero movies have just not performed well.
Yeah. I'm nervous about that. They use a lot of that. What Disney's been doing a lot of is that de-aging process.
Yeah.
When they're already putting it in the advertisements, that it's going to factor into the film heavily. Sometimes it's really good. I like the Tony Stark de-aging they did on was it Civil War? I think it was Civil War. That actually looked good, and some of it can look really bad. Depending on how glossy it looks. That was one of my biggest complaints about Crystal Skull. It just looked so glossy and less gritty. Maybe that's probably just has to do with the fact that it's made 30 years later, but I don't know. We'll see.
That's rough. Okay, so Hector, do you have any other titles?
No, I think after that it starts to go into TV.
All right. Okay, so I've watched a couple of things. Fast X, we talked about it earlier. I saw Master Gardener from Paul Schrader.
Oh, how was that?
How was that?
I mean, it's part of the like unofficial trilogy from Paul Schrader, like, guy writing alone, journaling in an austere room, like a First Reformed and the card counter. It's same concept. It's an easy way to, bring a character exposition, if you like. But I think I loved First Reformed. I really liked the card counter, and I liked Master Gardener. Joel Edgerton is awesome in it, but it felt like something was missing. It felt undercooked, if that makes sense. A few parts were funny, but not on purpose. And when I don't want to spoil anything, but I saw a typo on a tattoo, and it took me right out of the movie. And I'm not going to say anything else. But it's not bad. It's good. Honestly, it's good, but it's the weakest of the three recent thriller movies. What else? Okay, streaming. Well, I saw Extraction 2.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I liked it quite a bit. I enjoyed it more than the first one. The long takes, the long action scenes, they are really well done. Although I thought it was funny that Chris Hemsworth hides behind a ladder at some point. It's like that guy hiding behind a window in Top Secret during the shootout. That reminded me of that. But it's really good. Solid action and good stuff. His female partner, her name is Knick in the movie. She is awesome. If they made a spin-off movie about her, I would be on board. And I rarely say that.
And also, I heard that Nick guy is really.
There you go. So, yes, I recommend it. I also saw You Hurt My Feelings with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So it was from Nicole Olofsner. She also did Enough Said with James Gandolfini from about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, that one is good as well. Haven't seen it, but it's on my list.
Really good.
Yeah, that's good.
So, You Hurt My Feelings is good as well. So check it out. It's a comedy, funny moments. Fortunately, it's a comedy, but there are some heartfelt parts, surprisingly so.
Her movies are very much like a mix of drama and comedy. Let's say kind of,
yes.
Like she did Friends with Money. That was with Jennifer Aniston, like right after Friends.
Okay.
And like her movies are kind of get that sense. Like it's kind of part comedy, part drama.
That makes sense. And that fits the pattern here. I recommend it. Woody, last episode, mentioned Still, the Michael J. Fox doc.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it. It's very good. It's very good. If I had some small criticism, I think they went a little overboard with the short clips and reconstitutions from real life scenarios. Like, do you know what I mean? Like Woody mentioned it in the episode, like they took parts of his previous movies to set things up and explain a few things.
Like in Spin City and stuff like that?
Yes, yes. Okay. And Bright Lights, Big City. Yes. Yes.
Kiefer Sutherland? Yeah.
Yes. So my small criticism would be they went a little overboard with those, but otherwise it's solid. And check it out.
Cool. Yeah, that one's been high on my list too. I have a list of docs that I still haven't seen the Tina Turner documentary, and that's
okay.
That's really burning a hole in my. I can't. So there's a lot of stuff that I have on my plate. Just no time.
I also saw John Wick 4.
I did see that too. I forgot about that one. Yeah,
it was good, but it could have been much shorter.
Oh my god, it was 3 hours long. There wasn't enough.
2:45, I think it was.
Oh
and
god.
One thing I'm sick of is the invincible blind guy trope.
Yeah.
And I like Donnie Yen, but
well, they used it for Star Wars because that was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, that's true. You're right.
So
You're right.
I mean, they could give that a break.
Yeah. And the part pains me to say, but the part in Berlin wasn't very good, unfortunately. The part with in the nightclub with Scott Adkins in a fat suit.
Yes, in the and the whole
They should have kept him in another part of the movie and for longer because he was great.
Yeah, the part I liked was when they were sitting down at the table. What I didn't like was the fight scene that followed that because it was about 45 minutes too long. And then in a movie that's all fighting, they could have trimmed that one down a little bit.
But the part in Paris at the roundabout,
That was cool.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
So the best is the finale, like we're in the staircase, like at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a friend who saw that, I think, 3 or 4 times in theaters, and I thought he was out of his mind.
Saw John Wick 3 or 4 times. Holy
Wow.
That's a whole day.
Yes.
Just watch the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy back to back. That's how long that is.
I mean, it's good. I mean, I don't love it, but I think it's solid filmmaking. And
I had a good time. I don't think I'll watch it. It was so long.
And I think stunt choreographers turn out to be surprisingly good directors because they know how to shoot action scenes.
Yeah.
And that's a good example right there.
Stunt direction and really like stunts in general should be an Oscar category.
Yes,
There's an art
absolutely.
To it. And
Absolutely.
I think that is totally a disgrace that they don't have that.
The best one I've ever seen was The Raid because of that choreography.
I love that movie. It's awesome.
And that was a shocker because I didn't know anything about the film in advance. I went to a sneak preview and I took a friend and we left the theater and I thought we were sweating. It was like this just changed the game. Like you can't make a movie like this or anything after this. Like I don't think Tom Cruise could do anything like this. So
there was one a few years before that with Tony Jaa. One is one of
the
his
Ong Bak.
Yes, Ong Bak. Yes, I think it was his
those are amazing too.
First or second movie.
Yep,
that was something else as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? Oh yeah, and to close the parentheses on John Wick 4, I don't know if it's a problem with John Wick movies in general, but maybe except for the first one. But I think the bad guy, the main villain, I think they are weak in John Wick movies. Like Bill Skarsgård, I couldn't care less for him. I thought he was like a wet noodle.
He made a choice there. It was a little odd. And it's very reminiscent of like a Bond villain too, like the Pierce Brosnan type Bond villains. It's just
I guess because the villain in the second one sucked.
Yeah. I can't remember it anymore.
The Italian guy.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking of Common, and that was he was.
Oh yes, yeah, but like the main bad guy at the end. Third one, I don't remember.
That's just it. He's just so forgettable. It's just doesn't really leave much.
In general, maybe a hot take or lukewarm take. I'm not a big fan of Bill Skarsgård.
I think he's one of those because he blew up as Pennywise. Now he's kind of like just immediately in the zeitgeist of he has to be the typecast villain. As
awesome as Alexander and Stellan are, Bill's got nothing left. Okay, so that's it for movies, I guess. Okay, so let's switch to TV. Nick, what do you have?
So I really don't have really much of anything for TV, but I have been... Okay, so this is a really funny story that I'll share with the group. So like how I mentioned, I've been watching Breaking Bad and catching up on it. I did finish it. It was an amazing show. I had been watching a lot of... Since they became Max, they added a lot of Food Network and those types of shows. I've been watching this one show that I used to love. It was called The Great American Food Truck Race, and it's totally formulaic, and it's just so much fun to watch. You don't have to think, and they're only like 5 episodes or 6 episodes a season because it's like basically 4 or 5 teams, and then they compete each week. They get eliminated, and whoever wins, they get $50,000, and they get to keep the truck that they make for them. And I watched it like years ago. Somehow, like, Food Network, they have like 16 seasons of a show, even though it's been around for like 6 years. It's like the math doesn't make sense. Like
3 seasons a year.
Yeah, it's like Guy Fieri's Diners, Drives and Drives is on like it's like 68th season, and you're like 68 because he looks like double that age. But no, I've been watching stuff like that, and it doesn't require a lot of thought because I've been trying to also read a lot more too. I've been trying to challenge myself. So, but that's it for TV. Oh, and I have been trying to watch Succession and Barry. Mm-hmm. I'm so behind on it, and I feel bad because, especially Succession, you guys all know, that's like my favorite show in the last like 10 years probably. It's so good.
I haven't watched it yet.
You've been able to avoid all spoilers?
I have for the most part because I just mute people and I just talk to whoever I want to. No, I'm kidding. No, I try to like mute out like Succession and like anything like that. And I've been kind of doing like one episode a week, just my schedule. But I feel like I'm just going to have to rip the Band-Aid and watch it.
I haven't seen an episode. It's on my queue, but I haven't come around to it yet. That's one of those ones that's like House of Cards. It just felt like, okay, this isn't really a subject that I think I would really like, but I can't hear nothing but praises from everyone that's seen it. So I'm like, all right, well, you're pressuring me into this. I have to put it first on my list.
It's so good. And also Barry, which is with Bill Hader. Like, I don't know if anyone's seen that. Amazing show. And I think I'm on the 3rd episode, but that's one I think you got to binge. So I'm going to probably restart the season and just,
Yes, because there are some callbacks that would be a bit obscure if the previous episode is not fresh in your mind.
Yeah, I gotta rip the Band-Aid on that too.
All right. So do you have other TV series in mind?
No, not at all. I know Mike Drew's got a lot of shows, which I'm looking forward to hearing.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Mike, what do you have?
Okay, I'm going to start with a few that I didn't care for. So we started Platonic on Apple TV, which is Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, just about two friends. I made it 2 episodes and I thought, this isn't for me. It's one of those shows that I probably should like because, it's kind of a nice story. It's a comedy. It was, it's perfect timing because that's what I was looking for. I just did nothing for me. I gave it 2 episodes and I kind of thought I don't need to come back to this. It's doing okay review wise, but nothing, just didn't draw me in.
That's okay.
Yeah. Another show actually very similar, gave up after 2 episodes, was FUBAR with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of OTT at times. It doesn't want to be a comedy, doesn't want to be an action,
You done with OTT?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me.
You know me.
Yeah,
It just didn't take
and
off.
it's the only time you're ever going to hear me sing, ever. I'm done. Sorry, Mike.
No, listen, that was funnier than anything in the show. So it was,
Okay.
it was not good. I just didn't care for it.
Oh, that's grim.
Yeah. It's, and I think it's doing well on Netflix, but again, I can't recommend it. Another show and this is funny because usually I come with shows and I'm like, I like this and here's why I like that. These were ones I just didn't care for. I like the premise of this one. So there was an Australian show called Summer of Love, and I think it's 8 episodes. I'll be up front. I haven't seen all 8. I think I saw 5. And the premise is really cool. It's about an Airbnb. So there's an Airbnb on the beach somewhere, I think on the east coast of Australia. And every episode is its own story about the people who are renting the Airbnb. And the very first episode is actually quite good. It's called Jules and Tom and Jonah and Steph. It's about these 2 couples. They think that they're good friends and, hey, let's go away for a week together. And clearly, very soon realize that, I don't know if we're really that close. And it's awkward. And, it's actually quite good.
So it's fiction.
It's fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fiction. And every episode, even though the story and the characters are different, the setting is the same.
Okay.
Because that's kind of the shtick of the show. And actually that part's kind of clever because there's an ongoing joke throughout all the episodes that the Bluetooth speaker doesn't work properly, right? And it's like nobody can kind of get it to connect properly and what have you. And then the way the different people try to handle it and stuff. Again, there was a couple episodes. I think 2 out of the 5 were kind of okay. 3 I didn't really care for. Again, we've talked about how I kind of have to connect to characters, whether I like them or not. And I didn't for some of these. Again, the premise is quite cool. I mean, I thought like all being based in the same setting was kind of funny, but it just didn't do anything for me. Another show that I didn't mind, so we're kind of building to the main event here, was there's a British drama called Karen Peary. It's on BritBox here in Canada. I believe it's from last year. It's about a detective in Scotland, and she actually makes the joke, can you imagine being a woman named Karen in 2022? And she's trying to find the answers to this cold case about this woman who was murdered after leaving work one night. It's pretty grim, as you can imagine. It's okay. It's one of those slow, plodding British dramas, crime dramas that some people love. And when they're done well, they're done well. This one is done okay. I like her a lot. The woman that portrayed her is named Laura Lyle. I'm not familiar with her, but she was great. And some of the other characters are really, really good on it too, but it's just so slow. I find if I'm drifting to my phone, it's
yes,
it's
not a good sign.
yeah, I plowed through it. This was one that I kind of went, oh, what happened there? And things like that. But yeah, getting back to the better ones. So I can't remember who it was that watched this. I feel it was Woody earlier this year. The Cunk on Earth, filming a Cunk.
Yes, yeah, he did, and he hated it.
Yeah, and he hated it. I'm 3 episodes in, I think, maybe 4. I actually really like it. It's goofy. It's definitely, the Charlie Brooker screen wipe, she used to do things on that, and I always liked her segments. I like this as well. I think you have to know kind of going in, it's almost like an Ali G. The person's kind of an idiot. She's not obviously Ali G idiot. She's, I don't want to say she's intelligent because clearly she isn't, but it's so, I liked it. I can see why maybe Woody didn't. And comedy is subjective, as is all art. But,
I haven't seen it yet somehow, and I want to.
Yeah, I like it. And I think if you liked her other segments and things she's done, you'll like Morgan. Why can I not? Diane Morgan. Yeah, she's brilliant. She's just so dry, and it's just so funny, though. And it's clear that the experts are in on the joke, right? So especially now, it's like Ali G. He couldn't do anything where people wouldn't be able to Google him.
I remember we talked about that, and Woody said that one of his friends, his college professor,
right?
He does a few interviews, and apparently some of those people who do the interviews are as stupid as Philomena Cunk.
Unfortunately, it does not surprise me.
So I don't know. Are they in on it? Probably. Maybe.
Oh, they must be. They must be at this point.
At this point, yes.
It's so ridiculous, some of the things she says, that what's surprising is how straight-faced they can say, because they don't start laughing. And then maybe that's editing or what have you, but they answer it. They twist it back to historical fact as opposed to, what she's rambling on about.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. We also talked about, and sorry if I'm, keep calling back to a previous episode, but when she did Cunk on Shakespeare.
Yes. That's brilliant.
She was talking to this expert, and she said she mispronounced a word. I think it was pentameter.
It could have been.
And the expert said pentameter or vice versa. And the expert at some point, and they go back and forth like 4 or 5 times. And the expert says, after correcting her for the 5th time, do you know who told you how to pronounce this? And she goes, oh, it's the camera guy right there. And the expert stays, straight face. And
they do.
That's actually, pentameter. And so they keep going, and they cut back to Diane Morgan looking at not the cameraman, but the sound guy, looking at the sound guy sideways and shaking her head, that fucking idiot. That was awesome.
It is. That's a brilliant episode. Yeah, it's, again, and if you like the other stuff, then you'll like this. I can't see why you wouldn't. My next show, and Nick and I are, we're not ashamed to say that we are wrestling fans.
Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah, so Vice, the channel Vice, does a show called The Dark Side of the Ring. The newest series is, I'm only 2 episodes in. I think there's been 4 on. The first one was on Sunny, which is Tracy Stitch. Is that her name?
Tammy Stitch.
Tammy Stitch, sorry. And, even if you weren't a wrestling fan in the 90s or the 2000s, you probably know who this is if you saw her picture. I think at one point she was the most downloaded woman on AOL, so it kind of shows you the time frame. But, it's called Dark Side of the Ring. So it's about the darker side of their personalities, their lives, and if you haven't seen it in Canada, the first 2 seasons are free on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think series 3 is there. Series 4, I know Vice is in trouble financially, so I'm not too sure what's happening with that. But I think this series is in the can. The newest episode that was on last night is all about the Junkyard Dog, because I think there's some stories there that the average wrestling fan doesn't know, especially the ones who grew up in the 80s. But these are really well done. And I know that they actually get a grant from the Ontario government. That's how they create a lot of it. And if you've never seen it, like, they have these talking heads, usually wrestlers or, wrestling historians or what have you. But they also have these intercuts of kind of these blurry reenactments, but they're so well done. And the people that they dress up as this character or that character are legit. They do a really good job. My favorite show, and I'll end with this, and I kind of told people that it was coming. There's an Australian comedy, debuted in 2014 after doing a little Googling. It's called Utopia. In Canada, I think in America as well, it was on Netflix for the first couple of seasons, and it was called Dreamland because there was a show already called Utopia here. It's about, I'm just going to read you the little Wikipedia thing really quick because it can do it better than me. Is an Australian television comedy. The series follows the working lives of a team in the fictional Nation Building Authority, which is a newly created government organization. The authority is responsible for overseeing major infrastructure projects from the announcements to the unveiling. And it just talks about like the bureaucracy and the people that are involved. And if you like political comedy, if you liked The Daily Show and you liked, that type of stuff, I can't see how you wouldn't love this, because even though it's not American or even though it's not Canadian, and unless you're listening to this in Australia, bureaucracy and red tape and politicians are all the same. It doesn't matter where they are. And this show is brilliant. Like, I've never watched an episode and went, like every episode is hilarious. There's the consistent cast of characters. Like there's the PR guy for the PM, Prime Minister in Australia, who's constantly wanting to announce, like he's trying to massage it so he can take it to the Prime Minister, and it's just brilliant. Like, so well done, and it's so witty, and it's so just clever, and it doesn't insult you. And I honestly think if a station in America picked it up, like an HBO or a Stars or whatever, it could be like, I think it would be one of those cult hits where people realize it's how great it is. Yeah, I can't gush enough about that. Yeah, it's a brilliant series. And then I'm going to throw a little curveball like I did last time with my travel YouTube Downey Live. The rock band The Darkness, the lead singer is named Justin Hawkins. He has a YouTube channel called Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Oh. And he just basically talks about like new songs, or he talks about why this artist is brilliant. He's not one of those reaction video guys, but he's always positive. And he's so clever. You don't realize, but he's so intelligent and he's so thoughtful when it comes to whatever it is, usually music-based, that he's talking about. If you're a music geek like myself or like some of us, I think you'd appreciate it. And he's just charming. Like, he really is. I mean, I had breakfast with him one morning years ago, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Humble brag.
Humble brag.
Right? I love those first two albums. I will sing praises for those first two albums. I lost track after him because I think he went to rehab shortly after the second album, right?
I think after the first, because that's why the second one is called To Hell and Back or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, but he, I think they unfairly got dismissed because of the falsetto and the leotards.
That one song, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in a thing called love.
Yeah, which is, that's fine, whatever. It's a good song. It's not my favorite, but he's so endearing, and you can tell he's so passionate about what he's talking about. And again, for music geeks, I don't think you'll find a better channel on YouTube. So yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Mike. Hector, what do you have for us?
All right. So I have a 4-year-old and I have a 10-year-old that run around while I'm also watching TV. So there's the PG TV programming, and then there's, when the kids go to bed TV programming.
Hector After Dark programming.
Exactly correct.
Hell yeah.
So I will say, when the kids are around, I've been catching up on shows that I never watched for whatever reason. So actually, I even posted this on Twitter. It's like, what is the best detective show from the 70s? Because I had never really seen any. And everyone came back with the same answer. Actually, it was 2 answers, but mostly people said the Rockford Files. So I was like, well, all right, I will start watching the Rockford Files based on everyone's opinion.
I thought they would say Columbo.
That was number 2.
Yeah.
I thought Columbo.
Okay.
And I actually do remember the final seasons of Columbo, because I think it went all the way into like the early 90s, if I remember correctly. But Hunter was the show that I watched when I was young, because I was on after TGIF, I think, and it was in the late 80s. So that was the only pop detective show of that kind that I ever saw. But I did start watching Rockford Files, so I'm in the middle of season 2. And it's good, but it's it's just reminiscent of every other show, of every other cop shows of the 70s. It's a formula. It's the same thing every time. Different villain, different area.
And do they drop the N-word?
No.
Every now and then?
That's very safe. It's not like the French Connection. It's very family friendly. There's not even blood in the show. no foul language, no over the top violence. There's a helicopter and there's lots of car chases. That was really popular.
But the Rockford Files, isn't it that old show with James Garner in black and white?
No, it's in color. It's 74 to like, I think it went all the way to 780 maybe.
Okay, so I must be, but okay, James Garner, yes, but
James
not
Garner.
black and white.
No.
Okay, so I got them mixed up somehow. Okay.
Yeah. And then I read 2 chapters to my daughter every night. And we went through tons of series of books. That's the one thing is like, I don't read personally, but I will read to my daughter every single night. And we're now on the Little House on the Prairie books because she's never read them and they were introduced to her in school. So now we're watching the show, and I completely forgot about, like, we had to do a lot of explanation, especially with the books, because it goes into the Native Americans and the Osage tribe, and there's just a lot of those stereotypes that were introduced, and in the books they were written in the late 1800s. So yeah, there's a lot of things you had to put an addendum to. So when yes. you say a sentence and you're like, all right, well, Sophia, back in the day. So definitely it's good. The books explain a lot, especially about how to live in the frontier and in the Midwest.
Okay.
So there's a lot of explanations on how to make breakfast, on how to make a bed, or how to build a log cabin. I mean, it goes into strict detail, so it's very dry, but at the same time, to see her like get into it is like, okay, well, it's all worth it then.
I didn't even know they were books originally. I only remember the TV show.
Yeah, they're biographical. I mean, autobiographical, because it's her stories from the late 1800s with her family, and then meeting her husband later, and then they having a family. It goes on. It's a saga. It's a sweeping saga, Patrick. It goes on for generations. But yeah, the TV show, I forgot. I hadn't seen it really. My gateway to like the Michael Landon years was Highway to Heaven.
Okay.
My sister was Little House on the Prairie. That was her era.
Okay.
So I missed that whole thing. So it's all really seeing it for the first time.
And just add, it's Laura Ingalls Wilder, because that was a very, very popular book series that became a very popular TV show. My sister loved it too.
I never read them. I'm filling in a lot of gaps in both TV, movies, and reading. So this has been my year to fill in a lot of gaps. So yeah, I've been doing that while the kids are around. And then I'll say this really quickly because I know how you feel about these, Patrick, but I did watch all those Star Wars. And I just binged them really quickly because I knew I was going to get sick of them really quickly.
Jesus. Are you suicidal?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a rough few weeks. Especially that Boba Fett show. Oof, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of
I'm glad you feel the same way.
I mean, there was some good stuff, but there's a lot of filler.
Woof.
And a lot of money being thrown around for filler. So I hope they do something better when it gets to the next seasons. So those are like the stuff I watched with the kids around. And then some of the shows that I watched, I'll start off with The Bear, season 2.
I want to watch it. I was going to talk about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Holy shit.
But go ahead, please.
I mean, it is, did you see season 1 or you haven't seen any of it?
Yes.
Okay. I have.
We have, yep. All of us.
You know how that series started with that first episode? Like, it was like a freight train of this anxiety. There are a few of those in this season that really push it to the edge of just, oh my God, I'm sweating. I can't. There was one episode in particular that I actually rewatched. I had Angie come in the room and she hadn't seen any of the episodes, but it's kind of a standalone, so I won't spoil anything. But the intensity of it is palpable. It is so like you feel like you ran a marathon after watching that one. So there are a few episodes that are really intense, but there also it's a lot of it goes into the drama of the character. So you go and kind of get a little bit of every of those main cast storylines. So it is better because you've already had the season 1 to build on. So I'm really enjoying it. I only have one more episode to go. So
season 1 was already a high bar to clear, and it does it. Season 2 does it.
I will also say the soundtrack is even better than the first season.
Okay.
And that was a really good soundtrack from what I remember.
Because it goes everywhere. I don't want to spoil anything because some of the songs have really good cues, but you're not just getting one decade of music. You're getting like span of music, and it all flows with the episode.
All right.
Yeah, worth to check out. Another show I watched was Perry Mason on Max. And I was just curious because my father loves the original Perry Mason. That's his show. He actually got cable just to have MeTV, which made no sense. I was like, Dad, I'll just buy you the box sets. He loves that show. So I was like, well, okay, I got to watch the new one and let him know if it's good or not. And he ended up watching it too and hated it. But I actually kind of liked it. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was shot so well. And they do give really good performances. What I think people didn't like about it was that it wasn't like anything at all like the original Raymond Burr show. It's a continuous story, but it's a precursor to his being a full-time lawyer. It's almost like when he was like down on his luck kind of guy. It doesn't even get into that until the second season.
Okay.
And then even then it's just one case as opposed to every episode being a different case. So that I can see why people, and ultimately, spoiler free, it got canceled as of season 2.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I really wanted to watch it because that was also my grandfather's favorite show of all time.
Yeah, my dad is Lone Ranger and Perry Mason. That's his. But yeah, it's one of the best looking shows, just shot for shot. Every single scene is a still. Like you could just post it. It just looks phenomenally. I don't know. I thought it was good, but I could see how it would have been better, and I can definitely see why it got canceled because I think a lot of people just didn't like what it was supposed to. Like they thought it was going to be something else. So there's a bunch of shows I started watching. My wife is watching a couple shows that I kind of interrupted and start watching it. One of them was Pen 15.
Oh yeah,
and one of them was Normal People. Normal People. You guys ever heard of that one? So it's about Knick. You familiar?
I've heard of it. Is that the one with the guy who Paul Mescal?
Yeah,
the one who was in Asteroid.
Oh yeah, okay.
And is that the one where they come from like it's in Ireland?
It's in Ireland,
right?
Yeah.
And then like they basically fall in love and they come from different backgrounds.
Yep, set in like the 90s, early 90s. So it's a very coming of age story. It's pretty good. I've only seen a little bit of it, but from what I've seen,
He is such a good actor, though.
Yep, agree.
And After Sun was, I think, maybe my favorite movie of last year. It was so good.
I didn't get to see that. That was an Oscar nominee, wasn't it?
Yep.
He was nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
I haven't seen it either, and it's on my list.
It's a good one. I mean, it's one of those movies where I think, like, because it's a movie that deals with trauma and memory, and
yeah,
it's really good. But you got to be in the right mindset. It's some of the best stuff I've seen last year, quite honestly.
I started watching Black Mirror, the new season, and I actually had to. When I got into my Netflix queue, I realized there was a couple from last season I didn't watch, so I had to catch up with those. And then I was being made fun of because obviously it's not a continuous story, so I didn't really need to catch up on anything. But I did anyway because I'm a weirdo. And and it's good. I wouldn't say it's better than the previous seasons because they kind of deviate from the theme that they've had.
Yep.
But there are a couple cherry pick episodes that I really enjoyed. And then the others are kind of middle of the road. And then I started watching Only Murders in the Building, another one I'm catching up with because I had not. I heard all the buzz and that was top of my list. So, and I'm really enjoying that. But again, it's at a snail's pace because of all the other stuff that's going on. but yeah, another show that I can watch with the kids around is the animated Corner Gas.
Oh,
because I have to have my Canadian content in there some point. We already finished watching the original series and we ended up watching couple seasons over again because we liked it, but then we started watching the animated show and it's not as good as the original show, but it's still fun because it's just something you can just have it on the background. It's nothing.
Did they use the live action actors for the voice of the cartoon?
Most of them. The mother had passed away at that point, so they have another actress coming in, but I think everyone else is the original.
Okay, nice.
Did your kids start walking around calling each other jackass?
Oh yeah. Nope, that was just me.
Nice.
There was a couple shows that I had half finished and then I finished them in the past couple months. One of them was the Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. Another one that's an anthology series, so that one I need to finish necessarily, but I guess it was pretty good. A lot of it was middle of the road, but there were a couple standout episodes. And then the other one was Midnight Club, which was Mike Flanagan's follow-up to Midnight Mass. He's big on Netflix now. So if you've seen like Haunting of Hill House and then Midnight Mass, and then he did this Midnight Club, that one was my least favorite, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Midnight Mass I definitely liked the best.
All right.
And then I also just want to top it off by saying that because of you guys, I watched the first 5 minutes of Class of '07. Which, yep, very funny. Me and my wife laughed pretty wildly at that. And then we went to YouTube and watched 3 videos of Bobby Fingers.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
That's
really good.
trippy and wild. As soon as I started watching, I'm like, I know exactly where this is going. Let me go get some beer. And yeah, definitely need to be in the set the right mood for that for those videos. But they're great.
It's awesome,
Yeah.
though. Yeah,
Yep.
love it. And I don't think he's done a new one since Steven Seagal. I don't think.
That was great. You might be right. I have to look it up.
All right. Anything else for TV?
No, I'm sure something will come to mind, but that's all I got.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so what I got, it's too bad Woody isn't here because I watched Unicorn Warriors Eternal. It's good. I remember Woody mentioning that it was very violent. I expected something like Gangs of London violent or even Primal violent. Not the case. It's not that violent, but it's good. It's good. I prefer Primal, but this is okay. Sorry, Hector?
That's a Genndy Tartakovsky. I can't pronounce his last name. Tartakovsky. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
Tartakovsky. Yes. Have you watched Primal?
No. You know what? I want to check it out because he started off with the Powerpuff Girls. And I could be wrong. I mean, but that's the one I know him from the beginning. And my nephew loved, and then the Clone Wars. Yeah, my nephew loved, my niece loved Powerpuff Girls, and my nephew loved Clone Wars. So it was, so his name has come through the circuit of the family at some point. So I was excited when I hear he's doing like these more adult oriented animation shows. So I am excited to check it out.
Yeah, check out Primal if you have the chance. Mike, I finished Detectorists season 2.
Oh, good. Good.
Still as good, light-hearted stuff, and I'm looking forward to season 3.
Yeah.
We also mentioned the last episode, Silo. I think last episode will be tonight or tomorrow, and I think I'll be done after this season because it's way too slow. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I felt that, it had a lot of potential, but I don't have that much patience in me anymore, I guess. The Bear season 2, it was mentioned a few minutes ago. And I don't know why I haven't watched it yet because I was really looking forward to it. But this thought process must have a name, like when you delay something because you're afraid of being disappointed or something. Anyway, I will watch it. Don't worry. What else? I had Black Mirror ? What you mentioned, Hector, was pretty much what I've heard, that it was okay, but the previous seasons were better.
Yeah, if you go into it thinking it's going to be a repeat of the theme of behind science fiction technology, deviates that a little. There are a couple of them in there, but it's not always going to be the case. It almost feels like they're trying to not get pigeonholed as a typecast, that show. So it almost felt like they were trying to go out of their way to do something a little bit different, but still have a little gotcha in there. So
yeah,
it's a little middle of the road.
Yeah.
For me, it was.
And Mike, I really miss Screen Wipe.
Yeah, me too.
I wish he made another one or something.
And then he started doing the annual ones where he would do like the year in review.
Yes.
And they were just so clever, and I miss it a lot as well.
Yeah. I do have 2 recommendations though, 2 older series if you ever have some extra time. The first one, it was only 1 season from 2016. It was called Quarry. Quarry. It stars Logan Marshall Green.
Oh.
Damon Harriman, the Australian guy. Mike, do you know? You know who it is? It is a famous dad guy. He's got a very unique face.
Okay.
Is that Logan Marshall?
Yes, from Upgrade, exactly. Mentioned in last episode. Peter Mullen, also another dad guy. And Jamie Hector, who was Marlo Stansfield in Stansfield in The Wire. So in 1972, a Marine returns from the Vietnam War and finds himself involved in organized crime. It is probably one of the best series you've never heard of. It is quite good, honestly. And in the US, it's on Cinemax, and in Canada, it's on Crave.
Okay.
It's adapted from a series of books by Max Allan Collins. Never read them. Never read them, sorry. And yeah, sorry.
I thought you were warning us.
Yeah, sorry.
Never read these books. Horrible.
Avoid. No joke. It was a very pleasant surprise. So check it out. It's called Quarry. And the second one, you might have heard of this one. 2 seasons. It was on HBO back then. It's called The Knick from 2014, 2015, starring Clive Owen and Eve Hewson, Bono's daughter. 2 seasons, 20 episodes, all directed by Steven Soderbergh.
Mm-hmm.
The series follows Dr. John Thackeray and the staff of a fictionalized version of the Knickerbocker Hospital in New York City during the early 20th century. Soderbergh, we know what he is capable of. It's really good.
A director that will never retire.
Yes.
I'll retire and then I'll make 10 more movies.
Yes.
Sure.
And it's hard to describe, but it is very stylish. Very interesting, like the beginning of some medical techniques and, electricity becoming a thing. And it's awesome. And I'm surprised you guys haven't heard of that series.
I've heard of it. I just never saw it.
That's Cinemax, right?
That's HBO.
Was it HBO? Okay.
Yes, HBO.
I thought I remember seeing it like on a promotional because there was a show called Strike Back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was kind of in the same, like around the same time. So
yes.
that's why it's familiar.
Well, actually, what I found in the US, it is on Cinemax as well and HBO. And in Canada, it's on Crave. So I recommend it without any hesitation. Clive Owen is awesome in it. It's a really, really good series, honestly. The Knick.
Cool.
It looks expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, 1905 or something. It took you right there. I loved it. And I was disappointed that it was canceled after 2 seasons.
All the episodes on IMDb are like 8 or higher. So, yeah.
Okay.
Some are in the 9s, which is awesome.
Yes.
You have to check that out.
Yeah, please. Something for the plane ride.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's it for me regarding TV. All right, so that's it for us. Thank you guys again. Always a fun time talking to you.
Thank you.
And Hector, looking forward to having you back soon.
Yes.
Thank you. Hopefully I'll have better lighting on my camera so I don't look like I'm in witness protection.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say for our listeners. Hector looks like he's running away from the mob. The only thing missing is a voice changer.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, so thank you guys for listening. Oh, I almost forgot. Where can we find you guys online? We're going to start with Hector.
At Twitter, @ClassicHexagon. And I just post music and movies. That's the only thing I enjoy doing. So, and I just did Instagram as of like a week and a half ago. I don't know what I'm doing. So, be on the lookout for random pictures of
dick pics.
Not those random pictures. There's a separate Instagram for that. It's called OnlyFans.
Okay. OnlyFans only, exactly.
But that's pretty much it. I have a Facebook account, but I'm never on it, so you probably won't ever see me. If I like something, it'll be once a month. But yeah, Twitter and Instagram is pretty much where you see me.
Awesome, thank you, Mike. What about you?
As always on Twitter, MRDSCLASS, Mr. D's class. And, if you want to read about what's happening in education in Ontario, there's your place. But otherwise, I would tell you to use my Instagram, which is Pickies with Filters, PICIESWITHFILTERS, Pickies with Filters, which is what the original concept of Instagram was. Awesome.
Thank you, Mike. And Mike, you are leaving for the old continent in a couple of days. We want to wish you an awesome trip.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is the first major jaunt in a while, obviously. So you've done it safely and successfully. So I'm taking heed of what you've done to be successful with it. So in this time, like I just had a student who just got back from Vancouver and on the flight there, they all got really sick. So yeah. And this isn't the first time I've heard of people, getting sick. So just even being on a plane, I guess. So, yeah.
Like a COVID type or?
I don't know if they were testing. apparently they all got sick, the whole family. So, and I don't know the timeline, but yeah. And I know some other people that have traveled and gotten sick as well. So one was COVID. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Fingers crossed. Just going to take all the precautions and be as sensible as we can. And we'll go from there. So,
well, fingers crossed. And
thank you.
I hope you have a great time there.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Nick, what about you?
You guys can, of course, find me at Nick D. Bamback on Twitter, and then you can follow my podcast, Rock in Retrospect, which I've had almost everyone in this room except for Hector. Going to find something to get Hector on the show.
Don't make it be Imagine Dragons unless you're going to invite my daughter.
Oh my God, there is a Dan Reynolds HBO documentary we have to talk about. No, we won't do that to you. Maybe we'll do it for your daughter. So anyway, you can follow me at Rock and Retropod on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we're actually going to have a new episode coming out with our friend Josh Fitzgerald that's going to come out probably before this episode airs. We're going to talk about the Donna Summer documentary, Love to Love You, Donna. This is before Josh went to Europe, so it's very exciting.
Awesome.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Nick. Sorry, and I should have added this earlier, but another movie that I have acquired is Spinning Gold. I don't know if anybody's seen it.
I want to see it so badly. Was it good?
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, so I will let you know.
I don't want to rain on the parade, but I have heard not good things because I don't know if they didn't have licenses to any of the music. Everything kind of screamed low budget, so then there's no like big actors. So hopefully it's better than I've been hearing in the pipeline. But yeah.
I've heard if you don't come in as a Kiss fan, or you don't go, that's not right, that didn't happen in 1976, Ace wasn't wearing that. If you don't do that, I heard the movie's actually
right.
okay.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
If you don't speak like that.
Yeah. Sorry. Have you met fellow Kiss fans?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. There is a Kiss army that will come after you, Patrick.
Oh, Jesus.
That's right. Listen, I'm a member, a longtime member.
You will be the one who needs witness protection.
Exactly. I think they all probably think the same, but who knows?
All right. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for listening. You can drop us a line, EETF Pod, on Twitter and Instagram. So enjoy and go in peace or something. Bye.
Lord be with you.